most people don't accomplish their goals. Why is that? It's like we all come up with these goals and these New Year's resolutions in January, and then, towards the end of the month or maybe a couple months down the road, we taper off and we lose our motivation, and we seem to want these things, but the motivation dwindles. And so I just want to talk about, first of all, how we can solve that problem today, and also give you some tools and some things that you can take with you and hopefully think about, really deeply think about, and use them to make this your best year yet. So this is what I'm doing in my personal life. I have gone through all of these steps and I decided, you know what, if it's working for me, then I want to share it with you guys. So there are so many talented, amazing, smart, capable people in the world. Why don't people reach their goals? Why do we lose motivation? So the first and foremost reason for that is that people don't have a clear vision of what their dreams look like. So we all have things that we want. We all have things that we know would make our lives better. But have you really taken the time to sit down and create a vision for your life? What does your dream life really look like? And that's the number one reason why people lose motivation, is because they don't have a clear picture of that. And so when it comes time to get going on the steps that are needed to take in order to make that vision happen, you don't have clarity. And without clarity, it's like you're just kind of shooting in the dark and you're trying all these different things. And then you get frustrated because you're not seeing results. And so it's not that people are doing necessarily anything wrong. It's just that they don't have a clear vision and a clear understanding of what their dream life really looks like. The second reason that people lose their motivation and they taper off with time, and I don't know about you, but I have done this. I know people who have done this, where it's like every single year they have the same New Year's resolutions. It's like they want the same thing every year, and then the year kind of gets away from them, and then it comes to the end of the year, and in January it's like we have a fresh start. It's symbolic for it's a literal new year. And so it's symbolic for change. It's a time where you kind of think about resetting and making some goals for yourself. And so the second reason, the first one being not having a clear vision, the second reason that people do not accomplish their goals and live their best life is they are scared. So a lot of people don't live their ideal life because they're scared of failing. So, if you go for something and it doesn't work out, that can be a hit to the confidence. It can definitely make you feel a certain way. And so a lot of times what happens is people will kind of give up before they really get started, and they don't have that consistency to keep going. But really what's underneath that is the fear of failure. And so a lot of times, we'll come up with these New Year's resolutions, and this subconscious fear of failing allows us to stay in our comfort zones. It's what is safe. It's what we know. And if we change our lives subconsciously, that can be a little bit scary because you're stepping into something that you haven't experienced before. And so there's a lot of psychology behind that, and I won't go too much down that road, but I just really want you guys to think about that and really consider that, because those reasons are the sabotagers of our dreams. So the first step of living your best year yet is getting super, super clear on what you want. The second is really kind of reverse engineering it from there. And so when I talk about getting clear on what you want, there's different ways that you can do that. But one of the ways that I help my clients is we go through, and I've done this myself, you go through the different 12 categories of life. And so I'm just going to quickly kind of run through those just to give you an idea. And if you guys have any questions about that, you can drop me a comment or shoot me a message, and I'm happy to help you. But the 12 categories of life that you really need to think about when creating your vision, and these make up your entire life. So to think about these 12 categories will give you clarity. And if you ask yourself certain questions about each one of these categories, ultimately what you can do after you've answered these questions is you can take those answers to come up with your vision. So it's a little bit of a strategy, but it works. It works really, really well. So the first category is health and fitness. A lot of us have this as something that we want to improve, especially in the new year. We go through the holidays. We maybe eat things that we shouldn't eat. We want to get healthier. We want to get more fit. We want to fit in our clothes better. Maybe we have some health problems that we're dealing with that we want to fix and resolve. So my question to you in this category is, it's not that hard to know what you want in this category. If there's something in your health and fitness area that's not working currently, usually it's pretty easy to hone in on that. But the question that I want you to ask yourself is, why do you want that? So if you want to lose weight, why do you want to lose weight? What will that do for you? How will that change your life? So really think about it in terms of that, in terms of why. What's your purpose? The next category is intellectual. So it's your intellectual life means that your thoughts and your beliefs are essentially what create your reality. So if you are walking around frustrated with life and just really unhappy with how things are, is that how you want to spend your life? Is the lever that you are right now, as far as your mindset goes, is that where you want to be? Does that make you happy? Does that give you the joy and the emotions that you want to experience in your life? So intellectually, ask yourself these questions. Where would you like your energy to be? What would you like your happiness level to be? Are there things that you're doing right now in your mindset, in your thoughts, in your way of thinking that are getting in the way of how you want it to be? And what does that look like in the ideal life? So how do you want it to be? How do you want your mindset to be? The next category would be your emotional life. So that kind of piggybacks on the intellectual. Your emotional life is how you want to feel on a daily basis. Obviously, life happens, and we go through ups and downs and good and bad. And so you can work on your mindset and you can have the best outlook in the world. But sometimes you're just going to have a rough day, and that's life, and that's called being human. But it's what you do on a daily basis, and it's how you think and those thoughts that you allow yourself to have. It's the story that you're telling yourself when things come up. So, for instance, if you have a situation where you are really, really struggling, and you are telling yourself a negative story about that, that's going to reinforce the emotion of sadness, anger, frustration, anxiety, stress. And so we can't all the time control what happens in our life, but we can do something about the story that we tell ourselves when these things are happening. So emotional life. how do you want your emotions to be on a daily basis? What would be your best emotions, and what does that look like? The next category would be your character. So what do you stand for? Are you suppressing parts of yourself that you are worried that other people are going to judge? Are you living authentically? Are you living in integrity? Are you, your character is who you are at a soul level. It's the things that make you you. And by that, I don't mean, your job, or if you're a husband or a wife or a mom or a dad. I don't mean the labels. I mean authentically you. That's your character. What's important to you? What do you stand for? How do you operate? And are there things that you have been afraid to step into for fear of judgment, for fear of failure? So when you think about the character category, think about those things, but think about how you want it to look like. What do you want to be? How do you want to show up in the world? Do you want to show up every day with integrity and love and kindness? Or do you want to show up every day angry and frustrated and stressed out? So think about that when it comes to the character category. The next one is spirituality. So I'm a big believer in spirituality, and that can be unique for every person. I mean, that can mean something different to everybody. For me, it means connecting to something higher than myself, a higher power. And oftentimes I'll refer to that higher power as the universe or source, but it's the same thing. It's something bigger than you, God, whatever that is for you. How can you connect to that, and how do you want to improve that connection? Are there things that you could be doing to increase your connection, your spiritual connection? So for me, that is meditating every day. When I do yoga, I feel really at peace. So certain things will kind of lead you more into that connection. So how do you want your spiritual connection to look? And what does that mean to you? The next category is your love relationships. So not everybody wants to be married. Not everybody wants to be single. Some of us are married, some of us aren't. Whatever it is for you, that's totally okay. But when you think about your love relationship, if you're single and you're happy being single, and even if you're not single and you're married or with a partner, I want you to really think about how that relationship, how you want that to look. And it could be in the way of with somebody, but more importantly, I think that the single most important relationship is with yourself and the self-love that you have. And that's something that over the last couple of years I've been working on and very dedicated to, because I realized that I can better show up for my partner in life if I have a good relationship with myself, and if I have self-love and, a kindness and connection to myself. And that spills over into your relationships and your marriage and your partners and even friendships. So when we're thinking about the love relationships, just think about, one, how do you want to show up for yourself? What would that look like? What would self-love look like for you? And number two, how would that look like ideally in relationship with others? So whatever that means for you. The next category is parenting. So some of us have kids, some of us don't. If you don't have kids, that's okay. But you can also think about this in terms of maybe you're an aunt or an uncle, or you have friends who have kids. So even if you don't have kids, think about this parenting category as, how do you want to show up for the little ones that are in your life. And so for me personally, I have 2 kids. They are older now. They're both out on their own. But for me, it's really, really important to keep that connection strong with them. And so we talk regularly. And one of the things that I've really had to practice in my own life is showing up for them and just listening and being there and supportive. And so how do you want to show up in the children or the little people's lives, or even the older people's lives when it comes to the parenting category? The next one is your social life. So a lot of us, this really affected because of COVID. I mean, we couldn't have one pretty much. A lot of our connections were online. And we weren't able to do the things that we have normally been able to do in the past because of the things that have been going on in the world. And so that's been a difficult one. But I really want you to think about, just because things might have changed, it doesn't mean that you can't have a social life, and it doesn't mean that you can't have connection. Maybe it just means getting a little bit more creative on how you do that and how you connect with people. So your social life, what types of friendships do you want to establish? What kind of friend do you want to be? That's a great question to ask yourself. What types of things that you enjoy doing would you want to do with other people? So think about those questions when you're thinking about your social life. And also, I just want to kind of add a side note to that. When you're thinking about your social life, the people that you surround yourself with are the people that you most become like. And so some of you may have heard that in the past, but it's so true. It's the people that you spend most of your time with really have an effect on your mindset, your energy, how you think about things. And so when you're thinking about your ideal social life, think about that. Do you have really negative people in your life right now that every time you spend time with them, they kind of suck your energy? I call those vampires, the energy vampires. It's like they're always negative. They're always complaining about something. They always have an issue. They always have a problem. There's always some sort of drama. Or maybe that's you. Maybe that's kind of how you show up in the world. Is that the friend that you want to show up as? So think about these things, because the people that you spend the most time with have a direct effect on who you are as a person and how you feel. The next category would be your financial life. And I know for a lot of us, this can be a struggle. Some of us, it's not a struggle, and that's beautiful. Wherever you fall on that spectrum, just think about your financial life and what you want that to look like. So how much money do you want to have in the bank? How much money do you think that you could save this year? As far as money flowing into your life, what do you want that to look like? Do you want to, work for a couple hours a day? Or do you love what you do? Do you want to have that be your main way that you get money? How do you want money to flow into your life? Are there different ways that you want to do that? So financial is something that I think most of us would love to have more of, right? So when you're thinking about this category, what do you want it to look like? What would be the best possible scenario in your financial life? Think about that. And the next one is related to that. It's your career. So your career is obviously what you do to make money, but are you feeling fulfilled in your career? Now, I want to also just kind of side note here too, because sometimes we have to do things that don't necessarily feed our soul in order to pay our bills, right? That's just life, and that's part of being responsible adult in some cases. But as far as your career goes, are there things that you could be doing in your career right now that would make your quality of life on a day-to-day basis better? So maybe you're working in a job that isn't your dream job, but you're doing it because it's kind of what you have to do. Is there something that you could be doing that would make you happier on a daily basis? Or do you just despise your job so much that it, like, every single day you want to cry when you have to go to work? Those are things to think about in your career. What are some skills that you could attain in order to level up in your career? What would make you better in your career? Is there something that you're more qualified to be doing or you would love to be doing that you can learn about? And so just really think about that. What types of projects do you like working on? Those are all clues as far as your career category. The next one would be your quality of life. And this is kind of like the big picture. This is how you want to be living on a day-to-day basis. So is there some place that you would rather be living? For me, and some people know this, some people don't, a lot of people don't, so I'm going to just share it right now. For me, although I absolutely love California, I have decided in the spring to move to Oregon. And I have decided that because I love the ocean and I love the mountains, and I found a little town that kind of fits all of the things that I love. And so for me, part of increasing my quality of life is being surrounded by things that I love. And so, maybe is there some place that you would rather be living? Maybe you live, I grew up in Wisconsin, and so this is all to all the people dealing with cold weather and snow right now. I understand and I feel you. But maybe you're tired of that. Maybe you don't want to live in the cold and the snow. Maybe there's someplace else that you would be a little bit happier. Is there a home that you dream of? What does that look like? Maybe there's a car that you would love to drive. Where would you like to travel? Are there places that you want to go? Have you seen the world, or have you gone on adventures lately? And again, I know because of COVID, this has been a little challenging and we've had to change the way that we do things, but there are ways to go out and have experiences, even if it's in your own backyard. So what are things that you can do every day that would increase your quality of life? Are you eating the way that you feel good eating? Do you take care of yourself properly? Are you putting time and effort into your relationships and, spending time with friends and family? Are you contributing to humanity in some way? Are you focused on just yourself, or are you making a difference in other people's lives? And in my experience, this is like the number one happiness hack that I have figured out. Is it's good to have clarity on what you want in your own life, but for me, when I focus on how can I help somebody else after my own cup is full, how can I help somebody else and how can I make their life better? How can I contribute on some maybe small scale or a big scale? It makes me feel so happy and just full of joy. And so contributing to humanity in some way, shape, or form, being a part of your community, maybe it's just supporting somebody. There's right now, again, because of the COVID situation, there's so many people who are struggling with mental health issues, and that's not to be taken lightly. And, it might be people that you would never in a million years suspect. It could be the person that is smiling every time you see them, and really they are like, they feel like they're dying on the inside. You just never know what some kindness can do for somebody else. And so one of the things that I've committed to this year is really just trying to support people in any way that I can. And, reaching out, saying hi, checking in on people. It's amazing how much of a difference that can make in somebody's life when you just show that you care and you're willing to hear them and show up and, just hold space for them sometimes. Sometimes that can be the most powerful thing. So, how are you contributing? And the 12th and final category, and this kind of loops us all back around to the very beginning, is your life vision. So that category is essentially all of these things put together. And what do you want your life to look like? So if you think about your health and fitness, your intellectual life, your emotion, your character, your spirituality, your love relationships, the parenting, your social life, financial, career, and your quality of life, and you take all of those things, you put them together as to what your ideal looks like, that becomes your life vision. And so I mentioned reverse engineering, but really that's what this is about. It's about kind of breaking each one of these things down and really thinking about it and getting clarity, and then coming up with a vision that encompasses all of those things, and then trying to create some balance in each one of those categories. So that's the last category. And I just want to share a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt: "The future belongs to those who believe in their dreams." And I love that quote because it's like, if you don't have anything to believe in, then what are you working towards? What is the point? You're just kind of existing and you don't have anything to be excited about. And so having a clear, concise vision is something that can really help rejuvenate you. It can help get you excited again. And it can really change your life. So now that I've talked about the 12 categories and essentially the questions to think about in each one of those categories, the next thing that I want you to think about is, what do you value the most? So what's the most important to you? When you're thinking about these categories, there's also the component of why. Why do these things matter? Why is this important to me? Why would my ideal life look like this? So for me, one of the things that I value most is integrity. I value that in myself. I value that in other people. And so that's something that carries through in all of those categories, is how can I be in integrity in everything that I do? What do you need more of in your life? So the things that you value the most, maybe it's time with loved ones. Maybe you're working your booty off, just trying to survive, and you feel like you're really missing out on the, time with your kids or time with your partner. So what do you need more of in your life, and in the things that you value most? Really just spend some time and think about that question. So the first question is, what do you value the most? What's most important to you? And then the second question is, what do you need more of as far as the things that you value? So more time, more friendships, more integrity. Maybe you're showing up in ways every day that is not aligned with how you want to be living your life. So after that, the next thing that you would focus on to really get clear on this vision and basically propelling you towards living your best year yet. So you have the clarity, you have the understanding of why. The next thing are your goals. So picking 5 things. I think sometimes we get so overwhelmed because we have all these things that we want to do, And then we decide to do them, and we try to do them all at the same time, and then it just gets to be too much. And then you have life in there kind of, throwing us wrenches every once in a while, and it's super easy to get discouraged and off course. So pick 5 things that if you accomplished these goals this year, it would make your 2022 the absolute best year of your life. What are 5 things that if you did them, if they happened, it would be an amazing year? So those are your goals. And it could be anything. It could be to work on your mindset. It could be spending more time with your kids. It could be finding a different job. Anything in your life that would make this the best year of your life, I want you to just kind of think about that and only pick 5 things. Anything more than that, you have a chance of getting too overwhelmed. And then you also have the possibility of just kind of throwing it all the wayside and just saying, screw it, I'm not gonna. This is too hard. So 5 things. So from there, after you have your 5 things, your goals for the year that would make this the best 2022 ever, you are going to kind of reverse engineer it again. And you're going to think about, okay, so I want these 5 things to happen. What do I need to make a priority in my life in order to accomplish these 5 things? So what do I need to do on a regular, maybe a daily basis, consistent basis? What are my priorities that will lead me to accomplishing these 5 goals? So think about that. For me, I find that picking 10 priorities is a good number. And so you've got your 5 goals, and then come up with 10 priorities, 10 things that will help you accomplish those goals if you focus on those. And then the next thing is, after you've got your 10 priorities, pick 5 things that no matter what happens in your life, you are gonna do them. So you're gonna show up for these things no matter what. No matter if the sky is falling, you're gonna do them. They're called the non-negotiables. And so these really are the habits we're talking about here, that when you're trying to do the priorities that will get you to your goals, these are the habits that reinforce the priorities. So what are 5 habits that you can commit to this year, no matter what? So for me, one of my priorities, or my priorities, is I want to be healthier. And my goal at the end of the year is to be in the best shape of my life. So my priority is, I'm focusing on my eating, I'm focusing on working out, I'm focusing on spending more time in nature, I'm focusing on being really conscious about what I put into my body. And so that's my priority. But my non-negotiable, the habits that are going to get me to that goal, are the things that I do every day. It's the little things that you do every day that get you the results. So for me, I have made a commitment that I will work out 5 times every single week, and every single day I am going to have a healthy shake in the morning. So those are 2 things that are in relation to one of my goals, and my priority is to get healthy. And so my habits that I am creating, my 5 things that I'm not going to compromise on and I'm going to do no matter what, is working out and eating healthy. And that will ultimately lead me to where I want to be. Another thing too, this is kind of where people tend to get off track, is one of the things that I have learned is that it takes 66 days to create a habit. And a lot of things can happen in 66 days, right? So life happens, and you might start off super, super strong and you're really committed and you're like, I'm going to go to the gym today. I'm going to have my shake. I've got this. And then something happens the morning of or the night before, and you wake up and you're just like, it's not going to work. You know, either you're tired or you're sick or whatever. 66 days to create a habit. So what I want to say in relation to that is, if you have one of those days, it's okay. Be gentle on yourself. Don't get so hard on yourself that you missed a day and then you throw the whole thing to the wayside. Just get back up tomorrow. Start again tomorrow. Pick up where you left off and don't quit. That's the key to the 66 days. It's not the every single day I have to do this or I will fail. It's not giving up and getting back on track after you have had something happen that takes you off course. And so for me, one of my big goals this year is just to be consistent in what I'm doing. You guys probably saw my post on Facebook about that, but that's my word of the year, is consistency. And I feel that if I can be consistent in everything that I want to do this year, by the end of the year, this will be the best year of my life. So those are the non-negotiables, no matter what. And 66 days to create a habit. And after that 66 days, it will be so easy to do. It's just going to be second nature. And I have another little tip for you too. On those days where maybe you just don't feel like showing up, maybe you don't feel like doing whatever it is that you committed to doing. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it's called the 5-second rule, and it's by Mel Robbins. And she there's a book that I read, and it really changed my life, because she talks about essentially the science behind the brain, and you have 5 seconds to act on whatever it is that you want to do before your brain talks you out of it. And so what she suggests is to count backwards. So if you're laying in bed and you know you need to get up and work out and you're just not feeling it that day, count backwards, and literally by the time that you get to 1, she uses the example of a rocket ship. It's like the rocket ship's going to launch, and they always count backwards. And there's a psychology behind that as well, but count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just get up out of bed. And so you can use that 5-second rule in anything that your mind is kind of not wanting you to do or trying to talk you out of. And that has been a really, really useful tool for me, because the truth is there are days where you just don't feel like doing what you're supposed to be doing. So the next and final thing that I want to talk about that will absolutely change your life and make this the best year that you've had to date is committing to something for 90 days. I talked about the 66 days to make a habit, but this is something that I'm in a mastermind group with some other amazing coaches, and we have all committed to each other that we're going to do specific things for 90 days. And what I want you to do is, again, this kind of goes back to creating that vision, is if I do this, this, and this for 90 days, at the end of that 90 days, my life will look like this. So I want you to ask yourself that question. So whatever it is that you want to do, give yourself 90 days to start with. And you know, it's a lot easier to focus on getting through 90 days than it is getting through an entire year, right? So if you kind of break it down into like baby steps where you're doing 90 days at a time, and you're thinking about at the end of that 90 days, if I do these things, my life will look like this. It's a lot easier to stay motivated than thinking about, okay, well, I have to do all these things this year, and it's just so easy to get off track. So that is my final thing that I wanted to suggest. If you guys got some value from this, just give me a heart, give me a like. In the comments, just drop a little note. Tell me this is going to be your best year yet. And I also want to just kind of offer you guys something that I created. So all of the things that I've talked about today, I have done for myself. And so I've gone through this process. I've actually taken a class that's called Lifebook, and it really focuses on honing in on each one of those 12 categories. But what I created, and you guys might have saw me post about this the other day with my graphic design background, is I created, hopefully this isn't backwards, I think it is. Well, it says it's 2022 Life Vision Action Plan. And so what I created is basically just a 7-page, essentially a journal, where it asks you specific questions, and it just really helps you think about, kind of breaking down, reverse engineering each one of these things and coming up with a vision. And that's the first step. So having a clear, concise vision and then taking action towards that vision will absolutely make this the best year of your life. So the other thing that I want to say is that if there's anybody that feels like they need support, if there's anybody that would like to have a coaching conversation and maybe you're just not quite sure, you're struggling a little bit with, your vision or what you want this year to look like, or even just a specific category when you think about, reach out to me and I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. I love talking to people and having coaching conversations, and that is one of my goals this year, is to just, like I said, help as many people as I can. So that download, it's a free download. It's on my website. My website is organicallyhealed.com. And I will put that in the comments after I get off this live. But you can go there. It's right on the home page, and there's just you just put your name and your email in, and you can download this and spend a little bit of time and get clear on your vision for this year and the steps that you need to take in order to accomplish that. So thank you guys so much for being with me today. I'm going to start doing these live videos. Next time might be a little bit shorter. I know this was a little bit long today. My plan is to do them every Tuesday. So we'll see. I'm not sure. It might be Wednesday. But as of right now, I'm going to do every Tuesday and right about this time. So that is my commitment to you guys, is that I'm going to show up every single week and offer you some tips and some life coach tools that will make your life better and hopefully add some value to your life. So again, if you guys want to download that, you can go to my website. It's organicallyhealed.com and just scroll down. You'll see the form right on the front page. The other place that it is located is there's a resources section. And if you click on the resources, you'll see the download right there in the menu. So I hope you guys are having an amazing day. And again, give me some love if you guys got some value from this. I will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.